Hello you lot, this is KeefCooks. I'm Keef, and today I'm going to do something that might remind you of your childhood. I'm going to make meat ravioli in a silky smooth tomato sauce, just like Mr. Heinz used to do. A couple of shout outs before we start. One to Elaine Rennie, who recently made a donation, thank you very much. And to my new patron fan, Danny Kane. Thank you, much appreciated. So when I was a kid back in the 60s and 70s, ravioli was something that came in a can, and it was little pillows of this stuff that I found out later was pasta, or meant to be pasta, filled with some kind of meaty tasting stuff, but and a weird tomato sauce. I mean, even then I could tell it was weird, but I did like it, and I'm pretty sure we got through quite a lot of it. So what I'm going to do is relive my childhood. I've got a can of ravioli, not Heinz, sorry, because couldn't find it. But I'm going to take that apart, taste it, measure it, weigh it, stuff like that. And then I'm going to make my own version, which will be completely not like that, I don't think. Anyway, if you enjoy this video, press like, subscribe, make a donation, become a patron, all that lovely stuff. And without further ado, let us make ravioli. Right, here's me can of ravioli. Tesco beef ravioli in tomato and beef sauce with 100% beef. Durum wheat pasta richly seasoned with layers of meaty sauce. That's interesting. Seasoning's usually like salt and pepper. There you go. Ingredients: water, cooked pasta, tomato puree, beef 8%, durum wheat flour, spirit vinegar, semolina, modified maize, sugar, starch, carrot, celery, onion, basil, thyme, savoury, oregano, rosemary, marjoram. Good grief. Okay, so let's open the can using the convenient ringful thingy, and that's what we got. Beautiful. Doesn't smell great, but a lot of cans of meaty stuff don't when you first open them. Okay, I'm gonna weigh one. 8 grams. I'll just wipe this bit of sauce off it. Very neat rectangle of filling, and you'll see it's like it's folded over and just crimped on 3 edges. So, and that's now 7 grams because I removed the sauce. I'm going to measure it. I don't know why. If I'm trying to replicate it, I need to know what the size is. That's 37 millimeters. By 30. I'll see if I can get it open. Ooh. And there's a little bit of filling inside, which looks awful. It doesn't look nice dark brown like beef should. That doesn't actually register as anything. That is 0 grams. Okay. Shall I eat it? It's got the sort of pappy texture that I remember, and something weird about the flavour as well. Okay, another important measurement. How thick is this pasta? It's about 2.3 millimeters thick. Okay, I'm going to heat it up and then try a proper sample. I won't do the whole can because I don't think I can eat the whole can myself at this point in time, given that I'm going to make my own and I want to eat that. So that needs 2.5 minutes in the microwave.
Oh, what's this?
As it happens, it's break time for Mrs. KeefCooks.
Break time here.
Yeah.
This is the tinned ravioli, yeah?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, right, I'm going to pick one with lots of sauce on. It's actually too hot to say anything more than it's hot and it's savoury. And yeah, that's nice. If you were having your break and in a hurry, and yeah, it's fine. No, that's fine. No complaints about that at all.
Well, actually, the pasta's very... It's not exactly al dente. It's very soft.
Soft.
As is the stuff inside, so it's kind of weird.
So are you going to do the one with pesto?
No.
Oh.
Oh, God.
I know what I like. Keith makes very good ravioli. Oh, actually, this is definitely Moorish comfort food, isn't it?
Do you remember our honeymoon? In Sorrento, in Italy. We went to the restaurant that claims to have invented ravioli. It was nothing like this. It was rubbish.
It was a tube, I thought.
It was enormous. No, it was like a huge plate-sized raviolo.
Yes, that's the difference between him and me. He can remember a meal that he had.
I didn't even have it.
33 and a half years ago. How long have we been married?
Yeah, about that.
No, it must be 34. Anyway, I'm going to get a cup of tea because it really is my break.
Right. Okay, so that is not the best thing ever. I will do better.
But it's all right.
Yeah, it's not disgusting.
Oh no, not disgusting. Oh, nice. Right, bubble tea. Oops.
The bin. Okay, I said I would make my own pasta. You don't have to. You can use sheets of lasagna pasta, and just soak those for a little bit until they go floppy, and then you can fill those and use those. But making your own pasta is dead easy. So I've got 200 grams of white flour, the juice of 2 eggs, half teaspoon of salt, and a small splash of olive oil. Now the flour, this is type 00, and it's soft wheat flour. But commercial pasta is made from durum wheat, which is hard, but actually hard to find in the UK as well. This is fine. Tipo 00 or grade 00, it just means it's milled ultra fine, so you get a really silky, smooth pasta, which will be wonderful. So we need to mix this all together. So there's my flour in the bowl of the stand mixer. You can do this by hand, obviously, but it's very hard. And I know because I have done it. So I'll just mix my salt in. I'll get my eggs in as well. Okay, mixy. And if it's too dry, you might add a little splash of water, but don't overdo it. Yeah, this is too dry. It's just a load of crumbs. Okay, that's coming together, so I'm going to swap the paddle for the dough hook. Okay, then we want to knead this for about 10 minutes. If you're doing it by hand, tip it out and knead it on the worktop for also 10 minutes. Alright, when you've finished kneading it, I'm going to wrap it in plastic film and stick it in the fridge to rest. There is more. Now, to make the filling for the ravioli, I've got 250 grams of minced steak, a small onion, a couple of cloves of garlic, a sploosh of tomato puree, and salt and pepper to taste. We need to finely chop the onion. Magic knife? Yeah, why not? Now, mince the garlic. Now I'm just going to mix it all together. And I forgot to mention a teaspoon of yeast extract, that's like Marmite, to give it a good old beefy, meaty flavour. And the tomato puree, it's about a teaspoon of that as well. And mixy! Now we need to wander over to the stove and just cook this off quickly because the meat won't really have time to cook properly once it's enclosed inside the pasta. Now I've got a frying pan on medium heat. I'm going to add a good glug of olive oil, and when that's hot we'll add the meat and just prod it, poke it, break it up and get it browned all over. When it's pretty much cooked, add about a half teaspoon of ground black pepper, a teaspoon of basil, and stir those in, and then give it a taste and add salt if you think it needs it. When it's all cooked and nice and tasty, take it off the heat and let it cool down until you need it. I'm going to make a sauce and I want it to be really, really smooth, so I'm not actually putting proper tomatoes in. I'm using tomato passata, which is tomatoes that have been put through a sieve, and some sharpness balsamic vinegar. You can use malt vinegar if you want, or any other kind. And then some sweetness, that muscovado type sugar. So I'm going to pop those on the stove and heat them up and then taste them and mess about with it till I get a flavour that I like. So I added a half teaspoon of onion powder, half teaspoon of ground black pepper, probably half teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of basil, and it tastes fantastic. So set that aside till you need it. Now we're going to roll out the pasta. Oh yes. You can do this by hand or with a rolling pin. It'll take a bit of effort, but it can be done. I've done it. However, I now have a machine with an attachment. So, you know, these KitchenAid things were designed in like the 1930s, and I'm pretty sure at the time they were designed, they weren't thinking about having a drive mechanism for attachments. So you've got this weird thing stuck on the front. Anyway, it does work, but it's just not optimal in my opinion. And I'm going to have to swizz this round because I need to see what I'm doing. Alright, I think that should work. So you need to start off with your pasta rollers on the widest setting and pop all the dough through. And what you can do to start with, to get it nice and smooth, just keep folding it up and putting it through. Put it through 3 or 4 times maybe. And then reduce the width. There are numbers on here, but I don't know if they're standard. Right, now I'm going to try and make the out of a can style. So I need strips of pasta that are 37 millimeters wide. And then they need to be 60 long. Found a pastry cutter, pizza cutter, that works quite well. Making it by hand this way is incredibly difficult. So I just wet all the edges and then press the filling into half a teaspoon and fold over half and press down the edges and stick it on a tray to dry in the air for a couple of hours. Right, that's enough of the silly pillow type. I've got 9 of them, and that's... So I'll do some more sort of conventional ones. I had a circular cutter, a small one, but I can't find it. So I'm using this little tin. So we get a disc of pasta, moisten the edge. Teaspoonful of filling. And get a second disc and stretch it over the filling and press it down all around the edge. Fold it up around the edge, kind of almost a bit like crimping. And again, air dry them for a couple of hours. Okay, for the record, 29 ravioli, some filling left over, 1 exhausted cook. So just leave these out to kind of dry. They don't need to be properly dry, just a bit. Alright, I'm ready to put it all together. So I've got a pan of boiling salted water, bubbling away on the stove. I'm actually doing half a dozen of one kind and the 9 can copy ones. And then I've got a load of other ones here, which we'll do for another day. So just lower these into the pan, and when they rise to the top, they're done. So scoop them out. I'm also heating up the sauce that I made hours and hours and hours ago. And when the ravioli are cooked, we just whiz them in the sauce and serve it up.
Hello.
And now, you'll never guess what. It's Mrs. KeefCooks!
Oh, that Penny.
What?
You've cooked in it, haven't you?
I've cooked in it.
He's cooked in it.
Sorry.
Ooh, this is very different from the ones in the tin.
It's an exact replica.
I like that sauce. What have you done? It's not just plain tomato sauce. There's other stuff going on there. I mean, look at the colour.
Passata. Balsamico. Dark sugar. Dark brown sugar.
So almost a barbecue sauce.
Flavourings.
Yeah. Completely different from the can experience. Of course. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I like both. Is that all right?
Of course
I
it
know
is.
this is handcrafted and you spent hours on it.
Oh, well, I'm never doing this again. Flipping heck. Who invented it? They're mad. Oh, honestly, that's such hard work.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that they, like, laid out the pasta and then dolloped out the filling and then laid pasta on top and then just sort of pressed. I thought I'd seen something like that. Yeah, it's good that, but you obviously don't think it's worth the effort that's gone into it. What we should do
Don't do this.
is we should mix some of your sauce into the tinned stuff sauce and then,
I know
what's
that
that then?
looks like a chicken wing. It's a different method of making it.
There's more filling in that.
There it is.
I like that better because the sauce is quite powerful. Balanced.
Anyway, yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
He's never doing it again, but it's nice.
I might do it again
Yeah, right.
in another 5 years when a video needs remaking. Okay. Thank you for watching. See you next time.